Sinners will find us. They always do.
Alright, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about something a little different. It's something I posted about last week. I got a couple things to talk about. One is regarding CinemaCon that is either going on or just happened. I can't remember which. Some stuff regarding the new Spider-Man with Tom Holland. And then also, I do just want to speak about Avengers Doomsday and that casting that was very public that they did last week with the weird 5-hour chair reveal stream. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But I kind of want to just talk about those two things mainly, so let's kind of dive into it. So, if you were to tell me that, maybe 10 years ago, whenever Days of Future Past come out, or I guess that was 11 years ago, good grief. If you were to tell me whenever Days of Future Past came out that Ian McKellen's Magneto, and then even Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier, and then James Marsden's Cyclops, Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, Kelsey Grammer's Beast, like these mainstay X-Men characters. If you were to tell me that they were going to come back in another 10 years or 12 years to play the same characters or similar characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would have told you you've lost your mind. But post-Avengers Endgame, post-2019, anything's possible. I mean, we've had Spider-Man No Way Home bringing back the GOAT, Tobey Maguire. I'm shouting him out today with my shirt. It's from 2002, very vintage. Drop a like if you like my shirt. Anyways, but we got Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire back, as their Spider-Man along with their villains, which is just fantastic. Then we got Deadpool Wolverine, having Chris Evans come back as a Human Torch. We have Pyro, Toad. We even have Bullseye from Daredevil back there. I bet you didn't notice him, but I did. It only took me about a year, but my God, I noticed him. I mean, then we had Elektra, we had Wesley Snipes' Blade, we had Gambit, and Gambit's also returning for Avengers Doomsday, Channing Tatum, which, that's cool. I mean, that's great, but what are they going to do with him, man? I mean, to talk about the cast, let's just talk about the cast as a whole. No surprise, we have the Fantastic Four, all of them, but we also actually have almost all of the Thunderbolts, which I think is kind of interesting. And then we've also got our Captain America, our Falcon that were introduced in Brave New World. We also have Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri. So we have a Black Panther. We've also got Namor coming back, or Namor, however you want to say it. But he's coming back too, which is kind of interesting because Namor and the Fantastic Four have an interesting relationship in the comics, especially between him and Sue Storm. Whether that's going to be explored or not, I don't know. Who knows? But it's kind of interesting that he's going to be a part of an Avengers lineup for whatever reason. Oh yeah. We also have Tom Hiddleston confirmed to come back, which is really interesting. Obviously, the last time we saw Tom Hiddleston as Loki, he was holding every fabric of the multiverse together alone. He decided to go the hero's way and be in solitude and have to sit at a throne and hold together every strand of the multiverse. And it was implied that he was banished there forever, that as long as he was there to hold everything together, everything would continue to exist. Is Loki going to be like a MacGuffin type of thing? Is he going to be the Infinity Stones of Infinity War and Endgame? Or is Dr. Doom, is Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom wanting to reach him for whatever reason? That's kind of something I'm kind of wondering about. Oh yeah, also shout out to my wife for getting me this really cool sign back here. It changes colors. I figured I'd turn it green for Avengers Doomsday. But yeah, it's a cool sign. I figured I'd shout her out for that. But to kind of roll back into what I was saying, we also have Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He's confirmed. But also there's notably some people who are missing. For example, we don't have Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner as Doctor Strange or Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. And we don't have Paul Bettany as Vision or Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. Just some kind of interesting things like that. I mean, I'm kind of on two hands of this. Either they're definitely not in this one. They may be in Secret Wars or probably are in Secret Wars. Or this is the cast that they felt good with announcing publicly so far. It makes me wonder what exactly, if they're comfortable sharing all of that, what is it that they're hiding? Or what is it that they're waiting to show? That's kind of the mindset that I'm thinking of, because we're also missing Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, two big players right now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So all these X-Men and no Wolverine or even Deadpool. And then there's also rumors of Halle Berry coming back as Storm, along with maybe Shawn Ashmore as Iceman, which I think would be really cool, and some other X-Men that we've seen. But I guess that starts to beg a question. With all these Fox X-Men characters, what is this movie about? I mean, besides Doctor Doom existing and obviously having some plot to do something with the multiverse. That's just an assumption. What exactly is it that we're doing? Is this Avengers versus X-Men? I mean, I'm kind of interested now. So I guess the way I'm thinking is Doom, however he decides to go about doing things, maybe he gets all powerful or something like that, and then maybe I guess what I'm interested to see is how are they going to explain all of these different universes colliding? Like, so we have our main 616 with Thor, Captain America, the ones we know, but also we've got all these Fox X-Men characters. But are these Fox X-Men characters the same ones that we saw in like Days of Future Past? So is this the timeline where the Sentinels were erased, where we left the mutants where they were alive, they were well, the Sentinels were never created? Is that what we're picking up? Or is this kind of like a Deadpool Wolverine or Multiverse of Madness thing where we have a Charles Xavier or we have a Logan, and they're very similar to the ones we knew, but they're not exactly the same ones? Now, the Kelsey Grammer as Beast thing doesn't exactly surprise me as much, because we did actually see him at the end of the Marvels, at the credit scene, and that's the only part of that movie I've seen. But I know that Monica Rambeau ends up going to a different reality where she's greeted by Hank McCoy, Beast, that's played by Kelsey Grammer. So is that the universe that these X-Men exist in? Like, I guess I'm kind of curious to see if they fully tied into the Fox universe, or they just kind of say, hey, we like all these actors, and we're just going to say, hey, this universe is very similar to the one that y'all have seen in the other X-Men movies, but without all the continuity baggage and timeline baggage. We're just going to say that they're from this place. And that may be where they go with it. And, for a long time, I've thought it'd be great to have Ian McKellen as Magneto and some of these other people come back. But unfortunately, they're starting to push some age. So I'm like, if they're going to do it, they need to go ahead and step up and do this soon, while we still have them, and for that matter, we don't know when our last day is going to be. It could be tomorrow, for anybody, no matter what your age is. But I'm glad to see that they're being included, but at the same time, what's the big picture? I guess that's kind of what I'm more interested in. Is I think I've read before that the Russo brothers expressed interest in X-Men before, the directors of Civil War, Winter Soldier, Endgame, Infinity War, those guys. I think they've expressed interest to do X-Men before, so it makes me wonder if this is what tickled their fancy to do this again, especially after the retool with Kang and how all that was scrapped. Yeah, I think there's a really interesting story in here somewhere about why the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and the rest of the Marvel Universe are all thrown together to face Doom. Or are they facing each other because Doom puts them all on Battleworld or something like that? Like, I'm just curious to see what's going on here. Overall, this casting announcement was bizarre. I didn't do it personally because I was at work, but I know that the live stream that they had was 5.5 hours, and every 10, 15 minutes they would pan and show another chair. And it's just bizarre. I don't know. Then after everything was done, I went on YouTube and watched a 2-minute video of all the chairs at once with RDJ at the end of it. That's what they should have done, but they didn't, which was just weird. But yeah, I think the Avengers and the X-Men together in Doomsday, along with Robert Downey as Doom, all these pieces are really interesting, and I want to see how they come together. And yeah, and there's still questions on, okay, where's Banner? Where's Peter Parker? Where's Doctor Strange? As far as what they've publicly announced, there are some gaps of where these characters are that makes me curious. But maybe they're in it. I'm sure they're still hiding a bunch. So we'll definitely see what happens when we get closer to release. I'm sure they might share a couple more cast members, maybe. But I definitely think there's going to be a good handful of surprises too. But I guess my final thoughts about the Doomsday casting, as far as just what they've revealed, I think it's really cool that they're bringing back all these Fox characters. Like, we've got Rebecca Romijn as Mystique, we've got Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, which I never thought would happen because he played Nightcrawler in X2, and that's been 22 years ago, and he never came back. And then obviously we've got Ian McKellen as Magneto, we've got Patrick Stewart as Xavier again, and we got James Marsden Cyclops, which is just really cool, and Kelsey Grammer's Beast, and those are the ones we just know about. Like I said, I want to say maybe Storm, maybe Jean Grey, these other X-Men that we know may show up in this. It wouldn't shock me a bit. But I really want to see how they handle that, because in my opinion, Deadpool Wolverine gave it really fitting into those Fox characters. We had that tribute at the end with Green Day. It kind of gave me that finality that I was looking for, even though a lot of them weren't a part of the movie, but it gave me a sense of satisfaction that I otherwise didn't have. Days of Future Past was probably the closest thing I had to a closure for that universe, but they kept dragging it on with prequels and everything else they did. And Deadpool Wolverine finally closed the book on that. But yet here we are opening it again. So I'm of two minds about it. Like, I hope that they have a good story to warrant why these characters are back and what they're doing. But at the same time, I'm also worried that they're going to overstay their welcome if they don't do it properly. But I'm trusting that they do this right, just based off the Russo brothers' work at Marvel, not their work outside of Marvel, which hadn't been as successful. But we'll see what happens. I'm really curious to see how these X-Men play into this larger story and wherever they're from. But to transition into what's been going on at CinemaCon, they actually revealed the title for Spider-Man 4. Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 that they're filming right now, adjacent to Avengers Doomsday. And Spider-Man 4 is called Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, I think it's cool that the logo itself has been revamped. It's different than the one we had before. And director Daniel Cretton, he's the guy who also did Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, a few years ago. I think he's a really cool choice to direct this movie because he's got a really good way of showing action, and hopefully he kind of gives us a new look at Spider-Man, like as far as the swinging and the fighting and the action. I think he'll bring that, but I also think it's interesting that Tom Holland said that this is going to be a fresh new take on his Peter Parker. And that kind of gives me excitement because I want to see how we pick up with Peter after the events of No Way Home and his interactions with other Spider-Men. I kind of want to see what's going on there. You know, he's a loner. He's kind of in a place where Tobey Maguire was in Spider-Man 2. Like, I assume he's going to be in college. He's going to be struggling to make ends meet. He's going to be just doing things that we know Peter Parker to do. And yeah, I think that's interesting. But as far as the Brand New Day, the only thing that immediately struck me was the comic storyline. I think it was called One More Day, I think, where Peter basically makes a deal with Mephisto after Aunt May is shot and is losing her life. And he gives up his marriage in order to save her life. It's a weird story. But yeah, I doubt this thing has any connection to that, but the title kind of gives me some feeling of that. So I don't know. We'll kind of see what happens, but I'm definitely excited to see what they're cooking up with that. But with all that said, again, the Avengers Doomsday casting was kind of interesting. I thought it was interesting to what we got, what we learned. It posed a lot of really good questions. But one more thing before I forget, I think they're going to do this, but it would be such a crime. You've got Chris Hemsworth and you've got Tom Hiddleston. You need to let Thor and Loki meet once again in this movie, because this Thor, God love him, he's seen his brother die 3 times. 3 times. One of them wasn't really a death, his first one in Thor. The other one was fate in the Dark World. And then in Infinity War, he legit saw Loki get choked to death and he died. But in Thor's mind, initially at least, he thought he saw his brother die 3 different times. And the Loki we have now in the show, and where we left him, he's a completely different person. He's a hero. And I would really love to see Thor and this Loki meet again as 2 different people with all these experiences where they were missing the other. That would be such a missed opportunity, and I hope that Kevin Feige and McFeely, whoever's writing this, and the directors, I hope that they do not screw that up and reunite the 2 of them. It only makes sense. But I guess to kind of conclude things, yeah, I'm definitely excited. The Thunderbolts is not too far out. It's in May. I'm actually kind of excited to see it. I kind of want to see what happens in it and how it leads into what's going on in Doomsday and the Fantastic Four. In my personal opinion, I think the Fantastic Four will actually lead more into Doomsday than Thunderbolts will. That's just a guess of mine. But I've got a really good feeling that we might see Doom cameo in a post-credit scene or something. I think we'll see Doom in Fantastic Four. I'm assuming, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was just kind of some quick thoughts I had from last week. I just wanted to share it with you guys. What did you think about the Avengers Doomsday casting? Like, what's your angle on the X-Men and the Avengers? Like, what do you think? I mean, I'm just kind of running my mouth about maybe some things I like and how much affinity I have for Days of Future Past and some of the Fox movies. You know, I mean, I've got some good grace with them. I grew up with them. I love them. But I'm kind of curious to see what they bring over and what they don't. But yeah, just what you think about it, leave a comment below. If you like this video, consider liking it and consider subscribing, because I like making videos like this. But yeah, that's kind of the end of my sales pitch. It wasn't much, but whatever, I did it. I'll see you guys next time for whatever comes next. We'll see. I'm still actually working on the Punisher 2004 and its extended cut that I've never seen. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.